In this video, I will show you every player that you need to succeed for Game 4 of the NBA Finals on FanDuel, as LeBron and the Lakers attempt to hold on to their control of the series against Jimmy Butler and Miami, who are just now starting to turn up the heat. My name's Quick Pick Nick, and having simulated over a million different 5-man combinations, here are your locks and lotteries for tonight, Tuesday, October 6th. If you like this kind of fast-paced calculated content, subscribe and stay tuned for more lineups and coverage on every remaining game in the NBA Finals. This video is going to be formatted a bit differently because the lineup will actually have 4 locks with only one lone lottery, as there is one player in particular to be revealed later in the video who is way too underpriced given his potential value to not be a lock. To start off similarly to the past few lineups, my model once again recommends LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, and Anthony Davis in the 2x, 1.5x, and 1.2x positions respectively. The players themselves here are pretty self-explanatory and straightforward, as they are simply the only players on the court with the potential to consistently surpass 50 fantasy points in one game. The multiplier spots, though, is where it gets a bit more tricky. James is certainly the most consistent, reliable, and explosive option given his long list of accolades and impressive track record. He's currently amending these achievements in this final series, as he's only been a couple of rebounds or assists away from getting a triple-double in all 3 of his games so far, which is why we're putting him in the 2x slot. Butler's and Davis's placements are a bit more difficult to discern, though, as both players set a new pace for themselves in Game 3. For Butler, he improved immensely on his regular stats, ending within a few tenths of a fantasy point of 80 fantasy points on the night. But for Davis, he dropped all the way to an uncharacteristically low 26.5 fantasy point performance. Davis shouldn't be entirely discounted, as he was held out of the game for a considerate part of the first half due to a few early fouls, and it just wasn't a good day for him overall. Whether Davis's performance was due to unfortunate circumstances or that the Heat had found a solution to dealing with the big men, I don't know, but what I do know is that Game 4's numbers should be nowhere near to what we saw in Game 3. However, I'm still going with Butler in the 1.5x slot, as Goran Dragic is still out and Bam Adebayo is questionable, but even if active, we'll certainly see limitations, meaning Butler is set up to have another massive night. As massive as 80 points? Probably not, but he will definitely be given another opportunity to try to replicate a similar performance. As for Davis in the 1.2x slot, I, and more importantly my program, would be shocked if he didn't rebound and score at least 40 fantasy points, with him more likely ending closer to 50. Now these 3 players may be swapped around in top lineups, as this really is the hardest part to pin down given the variance involved in player projections, but purely based on my calculations for how many fantasy points these 3 players should accumulate, this is the order that would logically follow. The FanDuel price tags aren't too concerning, as even though it eats up most of the budget, these players' numbers usually double anyone else's. Plus, it's about time that I got to that 4th lock I alluded to earlier in the video, who is only priced at $7,000 on FanDuel, but should be able to put up 20 or more fantasy points tonight. A former candidate for the 6th Man of the Year award, Kyle Kuzma. I honestly have no idea how FanDuel let Kuzma drop so low in the rankings that he'd be right next to JaVale McGee and Myers Leonard, but if he's on the court, he will get good fantasy value. In Game 3, Kuzma scored 19 in-game points and earned about 22 fantasy points in just 22 minutes. Throughout the finals, Kuzma has averaged 22 minutes on the court, which is a lot considering you're getting this player for just $7,000. His projection far outweighs his price, and Kuzma is the most underpriced cheap player in this slate by a significant amount, which is why he should land a spot in your lineup for tonight. For the lotteries, since there's only one utility slot remaining, I figured I'd give a few alternatives for you to pick your poison here, starting with the highest projected option and moving down the line from there. The best lineup included Markieff Morris, as he's shown up for LA in the finals and especially in Game 3. This choice does leave $1,000 in the budget though, so if you're uncomfortable not spending that, the second option is Dwight Howard, who has the lower projection but is ranked higher on FanDuel, so take that with a grain of salt. The third choice would be Alex Caruso, who also leaves some money on the table but still averages around 15 fantasy points during the finals. I'll be going with the first option though, including Kuzma and Morris at the utility options. That's what my model was able to come up with for Game 4 of the NBA Finals tonight, Tuesday, October 6th. If you enjoy these lineup builders, be a friend, tell a friend. It helps more than you could imagine in growing the Quick Pick network. This has been Quick Pick Nick, the intersection for sports, data analysis, and speed. Thanks for watching.